Hey guys, my name is Dantes Lindsay. I am the general manager at Ducks Trading LLC, as well as the lead trainer of StockCraft. Before I go any further, I just want to say a friendly reminder. I am not a financial advisor, and this is for entertainment purposes only. With that out of the way, I want to talk about the details of today's video. And it's going to be when you overlook a detail, how it can take away from the bigger picture, how it's very important to have routine to refine the qualities of the skills that you need to be consistently profitable in day trading, as well as the importance of in trade and out of trade preparation, and then the edge you can have by having a very concrete idea of your own personal temperament. And that's going to help you in the long run of trading. But other than that, let's get right into the video and you'll understand what I'm talking about. First things first, I'm going to give you about like 5 to 7 minutes worth of little snippets from my stream. And this will give you examples of each of the criteria or the points we're going to cover in the video I mentioned before. Without further ado, let's get into that.
How do I say it? So Steven, he's watching GRTX right now. He's I think he's like waiting for something like almost double from where it is, like something very high odds. Me, I kind of have a slight suspicion that it won't get that far, so I'm gonna at least shoot my shot where I sincerely think it's gonna fall, and that way at least I learn, if that makes sense. Just to get rid of the contradictions or any type of false knowledge I might have in my head. I'm a little bit hard-headed, and I need to, take a lesson on the chin for me to actually understand. But that's just my personal temperament, if that makes sense.
All right, I'm back. So there we were talking about the edge and understanding your temperament. And so my personal temperament, after like going through all kinds of identity tests and just writing down pieces of my past and how I looked at the processes and methods I use when it comes to long-term commitments, I actually realized I am pretty fragmented in the way I approach long-term commitments. I do it in milestones. I used to have mantras where I'll be like, anything you throw at me, give me 2 weeks. I'll come back and I'll smack you in the mouth. Like very high energy, time efficient, but a little too small when it comes to those kind of commitments. And in day trading, you're going to take everything a day at a time, but you're going to have to nurture your skills a lot more to a proficient level than I'm used to. And so the way I like to visualize it is you're watering a plant, you're nurturing it, you're trimming the leaves when like a part of it dies, you're fixing the soil and making sure the foundation stays like solid. And you're doing all these things to like nurture something that eventually is going to grow into like, something that's so heavy that if you don't have that solid foundation, it's either going to, fall down or it's going to lead to some other complications. And understanding your personal temperament, it's similar to that because it's understanding the principles and like the efficiency and just general flow of, can you even do this like in the long term? And in my case, I actually have like, 3 to 4 traits where it's actually proven false. And so I spend so much extra energy just trying to hone in on those weaknesses. But I'm not giving up. So having an edge in your personal temperament helps. That's just one point I want to say about this. Next, let's get into the other snippet of the video.
Did I miss it? Oh no, I went to 325, but it's fine, or it should be. So what's going to happen is I'm going to try to call this because like there's way too much volume for this to actually be usable. If it does drop here, at least I learned. But what was I say? There's so much volume that I think the resistance at 257, around 100 million, would pretty much bring up the neutralized area and make that, like this gap through resistance turn into a full, like normal gap up. Because if it gets past that point, that's where this becomes its own. How do I say that? It becomes its own thing. And so like if it fakes out past this 330, 225 or 325 point, it's going to look something like this. Well, that's actually not true. It'd be 3.28, 3.851. No, let's try this way first. Okay, 3.5.3. Whoa, what? Okay, 3.25. 1.3. 1.1. Yeah, we'll just do the lower one first. Then add back. There we go. And then something around like 3.47. So like this is if it's a fake out. And like that's around 350. And that just determines that that's pretty much based off of how many people panic in these like 5 candles right here. Like pretty much in this consolidation, if it rotated enough, it's going to trap enough back holders and then going to form another higher support and it's going to bring it down, similar to like a consistent resistance and that kind of concept, if that makes sense. Now,
All right. So what you saw right there was I wasn't doing any type of magic with the calculator. I'm actually not supposed to bring up the calculator during the streams, but a lot of people seem confused when I start playing with the calculator, and you guys are like, "What are you doing?" But there's a little taste of what I do. Pretty much, I try to make preparations before a trade, and I make preparations in a trade, and I make upper limits and soft limits, and then based off of how you breach these limits, or if these limits are breached at all, this is a good sign of where early shorts are, later shorts, and just general places within a consolidation area that I would rather take my shot here than somewhere else where it's pretty much no man's zone, because like this is war. But other than that, that just goes to show you the importance of having those kind of zones and preparations in a trade as well as before a trade. Just to show you how this developed, that first number you saw, 3.28, yeah, you see that it pulled down from the 325 area, so it's pretty close to like where the initial shorts are. And then I'll pull up on StockCraft. It was GRTX. There you are. So in GRTX, you can see I made these limits here to where the first one is like a 330, and then it tested that area, came back down. Those were like the initial shorts were. And then when it went up to this area, this is where I had my other limit. And so in between this upper limit and this lower limit, that's where I'm trying to shoot my shot so I can get my gain that I'm aiming for in terms of just my statistics. And this is preparations that can be done in the trade based off of like its performance, as well as before the trade even like developed, if the criteria is there. Other than that, let's get to the next part.
Another thing about this is it's a 20 million float. I'll just show you 20 million float and 40 million market cap. Using that, it's going to be a lot harder for a bigger investor to like bully it, kinda. And the reason I say kinda is because like it's still only 9 cents to like borrow this, and so someone can come in easily and just put a couple million down. But if there's too many big investors in here, they'll cancel each other out. Now, if I spent a lot more time like looking at level 2, you can like look at these guys, like this little number up here. Like when this gets past like 100, is it 100? Let me check. Like 100K. Yeah, when it gets like past 100K, sometimes that's only like a third or like sometimes a tenth of what the actual amount of that person's size is, and they're just going in systematically. Like this right here, you don't know if this is just one person covering right now because they saw it kept its strength, or they got their 10% that they needed, because that's how it goes. And so there's a lot of people in here that are playing checkers, and there's bigger people or like people that have been here for a while, they're playing chess. And so right now I'm only thinking like 3 moves ahead, but there's other people that are thinking at least 10. So hopefully that helps.
All right, so I just touched on another topic, and that is bigger picture. So the thing is, when you think bigger picture, you can't just come out like, you're new, you're noob, and think, oh, I understand everything. Because that's like the definition of naive. The thing is, if you do like come in with that kind of confidence, you're actually going to make a pretty decent amount of money, but you're also going to have some pretty big losses if you don't approach it realistically. And what I mean by that is sometimes you can't even see the bigger picture if you're following someone. And that goes into like the laws of stupidity and independence stuff, and like that's his whole spiritual, like it's its own area. If you want to look at the bigger picture in trading, you're gonna have to start understanding a pattern, like in terms of like what's a smaller picture, like a frame that you could put on, and then what's the details inside of there that are actually something you can use. And one small detail, like an essential detail, because there's different weights to each detail, it can shape your perception of the entire picture. That's where I was talking about. I can only see like 3 moves ahead personally, but then you got people out there that see like 10 moves ahead, and they didn't start out that way. They started learning like 1 move a day, then 2 moves a day, and then gradually over time they got to that point where they can see 10 moves ahead, like the grandmasters in chess. I'll borrow some like metaphors from my uncle, who used to talk about like his days on the railroad. And he'll be like, if you want to stay on track, Dantes, you have to look at the past tracks to have a decent idea of where the future tracks are going to go. And back then I was just like, man, what is he talking about? I was like, don't you only go left, right, or straight? And yeah, I can kind of understand what he was trying to say in a metaphorical story kind of way, like when you read the Bible and etc. You want to have the same kind of idea in parts of your trading, but the main thing is just go at your own pace, keep up the momentum, have faith in yourself, and just keep going and be realistic with expectations. Now let's get into another part.
I think it was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. I was looking at the long biases of SGMA, to where, like, I was looking at where this is going to bounce instead of recognizing that this went from like 7 to 18, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can get money off the long here. I completely ignored the short because, like, this 25% bounce right there, that was predictable. Like, this is also another textbook setup for first red day, and I could see it, and like I could unconsciously like recognize it. It's just like I'll have like one bias, and it's hard to stay in the middle. Because what do you call it? I never went to the daily because I thought this was just flat because I'm like, oh, it has like almost 300%. That's all I need to know. As soon as like I got off the stream and then like I actually looked at it like deeply, it was like so much FOMO, so much regret, and I ended up taking like a really bad position, like like within 5 seconds. Like I'm in the middle of like learning something on YouTube or like doing some type of productive thing, and I just take this impulsive short at I think the first one was like at 380. Like there's legit no reason to go in at 380. Like legit nothing. Like I just went in there because I'm like, oh, this must be something that I planned. And then eventually I was like, let me just roll with it. I was like, I know I can get away with this up to the high day. Like have the full range of what I can get away with. And the more I just like started like going in, like up here, I still know I'm safe. Easily could have got out, took a not took, but like could have came up like a certain percentage, stay positive. But for the longer I stayed in this, the more my like focus changed again to where I'm just like, I don't even want to make money. I want to practice skills now. And then like it went up to like the 4.38 point, and my my risk was at 4.2. And so the thing I was practicing was trying to take a risk decisively. And so like I just took this loss at like 420 pretty much for fun. And like it's so stupid, but it's also like something like you should be aware of. Like there's a part of you that's aiming up and there's a part of you that's aiming down. Like this top right here, this is still within my statistics and my expectations. And I calculated this before, but I was so focused on the idea that I need to learn how to take losses quickly that I just took a loss for no reason. And what made it even worse was like, it dropped in after hours. And I'm like, I pretty much like have the video diary, and like I'm already calling it dropping in after hours and other stuff like around, I think it was like 2:30, I think I said. So like, yeah, it was 2:30. So what? So this is 12 over 2. That should be like 14 and a half. Yeah, yeah. So it's so repeatable. It's so obvious. And I still can't, keep my mind and my actions like at the same level. It's so annoying. But what was I say? Just letting you know if someone out there is having a similar problem. But there's another reason why I brought this up. It actually has been like on its 5th green day. Like if I noticed that, then my focus would have switched to like short. But I was still thinking, oh, I can buy this. And eventually since I had so many like takers in my mind, and like around that time, like my focus just divided too many times, I didn't even commit to anything. And then, that's what led to this impulsive short, because like I still had stuff running in the back of my head saying, oh, you're probably gonna short. Nah, at that point, I'm just like, oh, I'm just gonna sit on my hands today. These are the plays I'm gonna miss that are gonna make me like focus the next time, and then, prepare better. This came out of nowhere while I'm in the middle of a YouTube video where I'm just like, I just get this sudden impulse, and I'm like, oh, I think I'm missing something. And then like, quickly borrow shares, go in. I was like, this must be it. Until like, 30 seconds later, I realized what I did, and then I tried to fix that mistake. Yeah, this feels like a confessional, pretty much.
Don't worry, guys. I'm back. I'm right on the money when I say that. It always feels like a confessional when I'm on the stream or when I'm doing these videos. And so I treat it like that. I went to a private Catholic school, and it just feels right. I'm like, sorry, I have sinned. I overtraded. I revenge traded. I had omission, or I didn't have the right amount of patience and the right amount of focus and awareness at the right timing. And please forgive me. And so like, that's usually how I kind of treat this. Eventually, I'll get to a point where I'll have a solid routine. But you remember the point before this? I was saying that it's good to have in-trade prep and out-of-trade prep. How if you overlook a small detail, especially an important small detail, it warps your entire understanding and perception of the picture. I'll show you how this easily could have been you. Like, so on the SGMA, when I woke up that morning, I woke up pretty late because I've been trying to conserve my energy. The day before, I admit, I did see this go up that much, and, it had the potential to be a first red day if, it had some green days, but I don't have a lot of statistics for that. And so I don't have the routines to like be able to recognize like spot on what is that. And at that time, when I woke up, I feel like I'm already scattered to only look at the top gainers for what is actually useful. And so at that time, I'm looking at like 6 of them. I'm trying to narrow it down to 3 or my top 3 to focus on. And there's people in the chat room saying, hey, this is the first red day. And I am trying to be very sincere with how I do my trading. And so I honestly thought, you are wrong, sir. And, I did like a light analysis, but when I did it, I went to the 1 month and I went to the 15 minute. I didn't go to the day. So when I see this right here, these don't look like green days, do they? And, you know, normally you're supposed to have like 3 to 5 green days before you have like a first red day. Like, that didn't look green to me. I didn't actually press the green. And so when that happened, it happened like that. So, all right, that's enough. We'll cut it here. But just to give you a little recap, in these 3 trades that we didn't take because it wasn't ideal, but it was still worth the trade, we'll summarize what you can learn from these snippets in the video. And that would be, in and out of the trade, preparation matters. And to increase that preparation, it's best if you understand your personal temperament as well as have a solid routine to practice those actions. The last takeaway will be, when you overlook a very important but small detail, it can change your perception of the bigger picture. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.